You are 7 years old, and you don't know where you're sleeping tonight. Your mother is already moving again. You don't know why. You never know why. You just know that the boxes come out, the garbage bags get filled, and by morning you're somewhere else. A new street. A new school. A new set of strangers who already know each other and don't need you. This is St. Joseph, Missouri. This is Warren, Michigan. This is the east side of Detroit. You will move more than 30 times before you are 12 years old. You stop unpacking your room after the fourth move. There is no point putting things on shelves when the shelves won't be yours next month. Your mother's name is Debbie. She is 19 years old when she has you. She is not ready. She will spend most of your childhood making that clear in ways she never says out loud. Your father's name is Marshall Bruce Mathers, Jr. He leaves before you are old enough to form a memory of him. You will spend years writing letters to an address in California. Every letter comes back unopened. You will eventually stop sending them. You are learning something in these years that most children never have to learn. You are learning that the people who are supposed to protect you are the least reliable people in your world. You hold on to that lesson. It becomes the engine of everything you will ever create. On the east side of Detroit, the neighborhood has rules that nobody writes down. You are white. This matters. Not because anyone says it, but because you feel it every time you walk to school, every time you step onto a basketball court, every time you open your mouth and the wrong sound comes out. You get beaten up. A boy named D'Angelo Bailey beats you so badly in the second grade that you suffer a cerebral contusion. You lose consciousness. Your mother takes you to the hospital and then moves you to a new school. The violence doesn't stop. It follows you from block to block like weather. You find the one thing that makes you invisible in a room where you're supposed to stick out. You find rap. You are 9 years old the first time you hear LL Cool J on the radio. Something shifts. Not in your chest, somewhere deeper. Behind your sternum. In the place where all the things you cannot say have been piling up since you were old enough to understand you were different. You find your Uncle Ronnie. He is only a year older than you and he lives next door, and he has a crate of rap tapes. You sit in his room for hours listening to Ice-T, the Beastie Boys, Run DMC. You memorize every word. Not because someone tells you to, because the words feel like weapons, and you have been unarmed your entire life. You are 14, and you have stopped going to 9th grade regularly enough to matter. Lincoln High School in Warren, Michigan, is not a place you belong. You know this the way you know your own name. The teachers move on. The other students form their clusters, and you orbit them from a distance, studying the language of belonging that everyone else seems to have been born knowing. You fail 9th grade 3 times. Not because you are stupid. You read at a postgraduate level by the time you are 17. You fail because the building feels like a cage, and outside the building there is something more urgent happening. Outside, on the east side, there are basement ciphers. There are Friday night battles in parking lots and recreation centers, and under expressway underpasses where the acoustics are perfect, and the crowd is honest in a way that no classroom has ever been honest with you. You bring a notebook everywhere. You write in it on the bus, on your lunch break, in the margins of textbooks you're not reading. The notebook is thick and filled with rhymes so dense and referential, and layered that the kids who read over your shoulder either laugh at you or look at you differently. You learn very quickly which reaction tells you more. Your mother is not stable. This is the clinical word for it. The practical word is, you never know what version of her you're coming home to. There are days when the house is clean, and there is food, and she is almost okay. There are weeks when the curtains stay drawn and the bills pile up, and she sends you to the store with a note, and you know the note is for more than groceries. You learn to take care of yourself. You learn to take care of her. The caretaking hollows you out in ways you won't understand until much later. You meet a girl named Kim Scott. You are 15. She is 13. She is sleeping on the porch of the house next door because her own home is worse than yours. You bring her inside. Your mother lets her stay. This is the beginning of the most complicated relationship of your life. You love Kim with a ferocity that will eventually become its own kind of destruction. But right now, she is just the girl on the porch, and you are just the boy who opened the door and something between you locks into place like a dead bolt. You get a job at a sandwich shop to help with rent. You flip burgers at a Gilbert's lodge. You wash dishes. You hand your mother money and watch it disappear and hand her more. You are 16 years old, and you are already exhausted. But at night in the basement ciphers, something different happens. When you step to the mic, the exhaustion lifts. The room shifts. People stop talking. The white kid from Warren who failed 9th grade 3 times opens his mouth, and what comes out is so fast and so precise, and so painfully honest that even the people who came to dismiss you have to stop and listen. You are not good. You are something rarer than good. You are real. You are 20 years old, and your daughter Hailie Jade is born on Christmas Day, 1995. You hold her in the hospital, and something rearranges permanently inside you. You have spent your entire life being failed by people who were supposed to show up. You will not be that. You make this promise to a person who cannot yet understand language. You intend to keep it at any cost. The cost is immediate. Kim's situation is unstable. Your living situation is unstable. You are working at Gilbert's Lodge making $5.50 an hour, and the checks barely cover diapers. You get fired. Not for the last time. You get hired somewhere else. You get fired again. You and Kim and Hailie move between apartments and relatives' floors, and places you would not choose if you had choices. Detroit in 1996 is not a city offering options to a white kid with a GED, a baby, and no savings. But the rap is getting sharper. Every night when Hailie is asleep and Kim is asleep, and the apartment is quiet except for the sound of the highway, you sit at the kitchen table with your notebook and you write. You write about everything. The dishes piling up, the check that bounced, the landlord's voicemail, the look on Kim's face when you tell her you got fired again. You write about your mother. You write about your father's unopened letters in a box under the bed. You write about being white in a black art form and what it costs and what it means and whether you have any right to be here at all. The local scene starts to notice. You release a demo tape called Infinite in 1996. You press it yourself. You drive around Detroit putting it in the hands of anyone who will take it. The response is polite and dismissive. The critics on the Detroit scene call you a Nuz clone. They say you sound derivative. They say you're trying too hard to sound black. The rejection is specific, and it cuts in a specific way. You are used to rejection. But this rejection is about your identity, and there is no defense against that. You come home one night and find a notice on the door. 3 days. You have $11 in your checking account, a daughter who needs formula, and a demo tape that nobody wants. You sit on the kitchen floor with your back against the cabinet, and you think about stopping. You think about it seriously. Not in the romantic way people describe creative crisis. In the practical way. You calculate what your life looks like if you walk away from this. Warehouse work. Factory shifts. The same trajectory as everyone else in the neighborhood who started where you started. You sit with that calculation for a long time. Then you open the notebook. The Rap Olympics are coming, 1997. Los Angeles. A national battle rap competition. You scrape together the entry fee. You drive to Los Angeles. You lose the final round to a rapper named otherwise by a single judge's decision. The crowd goes insane for you. You lose and the crowd goes insane. You fly home with nothing but a second-place finish and a bootleg cassette of your performance that someone made from the audience. That cassette ends up in the hands of a man named Jimmy Iovine, who passes it to someone else. That someone else is Dr. Dre. The call comes in February 1998. Dre wants to meet. You fly to Los Angeles and walk into a studio that looks nothing like any room you have ever been in. Everything is clean and expensive and deliberate. Dre is sitting at the boards. He is not particularly warm. He is precise in the way that serious craftsmen are precise. He plays you a beat. You go into the booth and record a verse. When you come out, Dre says 4 words. Where have you been? You record the Slim Shady LP in 8 months. It is the most focused 8 months of your life. Dre pushes you in ways that your own ambition had not found yet. He hears something in the chaos of your writing, and he builds architecture around it. The album is released on February 23, 1999. In the first week, it sells 283,000 copies. By the end of the year, it has gone quadruple platinum. You are 26 years old. You have been poor your entire life. You have been dismissed and beaten and evicted and fired. And now you are standing on the Grammy stage, and Dr. Dre is beside you, and the room is standing, and you are holding a microphone in your hand, and the feeling is not joy exactly. It is vindication. It is the specific feeling of having been right about yourself when no one else was. But the fame arrives the way floods arrive. Not gradually, all at once, and it takes everything with it. The press turns on you immediately. Your lyrics are violent and misogynistic and homophobic, and the think pieces are relentless, and the Senate hearings are real, and Tipper Gore is saying your name in committee rooms, and you are simultaneously the most celebrated and most condemned artist in American music. Your mother sues you for defamation. Kim threatens to leave, and then comes back and then leaves again. You are making more money in a month than your entire family has seen in 5 generations, and you are also angrier than you have ever been because the success has not made the wounds go away. It has given them an audience. The Marshall Mathers LP comes out in May 2000. It sells 1.76 million copies in its first week. It is the fastest-selling solo album in history at that point. You stand on a stage at the MTV VMAs with 100 Slim Shadys behind you, and the performance is so precisely constructed and so deliberately confrontational that the entire industry understands something in that moment. You are not a novelty act. You are not a one-album phenomenon. You are the thing itself. You win 8 Grammy Awards before you are 30 years old. You make 8 Mile. The movie is autobiographical in the way that hurts, in the way where you have to film scenes that are reconstructions of actual nights in actual parking lots where actual things were at stake. You win the Academy Award for Best Original Song. You are the first hip-hop artist to win that award. You stand at that podium and you do not cry. You have not cried in a very long time. You have trained yourself out of it somewhere between the evictions and the custody battles, and the years of being told you weren't enough. But backstage, alone for 30 seconds in a hallway before someone pulls you back toward the cameras, you let yourself feel it. Just for 30 seconds. Then you put it back. Hailie is growing up. This is the thing the public doesn't see. The Hailie you write about in songs is the Hailie who is real. The reason you get on planes, the reason you finish albums, the reason you don't quit when quitting would be easier. You are not a perfect father. You are absent in the ways that touring and recording demand. But you show up. You show up in every way that your own father refused to show up, and you measure yourself against that absence the way survivors measure themselves against the thing that tried to break them. The money is real now. The house in Rochester Hills. The security detail. The entourage that forms around success like a body forms scar tissue, protective and slightly deadening. You buy your mother a house because despite everything, she is your mother. You send her the keys and she calls to say thank you, and the phone call is short, and neither of you says the things you actually mean. You hire a team to manage the money. The money is managed. You are not. It starts with your back. A legitimate injury. A herniation that makes it impossible to sleep without medication. The doctor prescribes Vicodin. You take it and the pain goes away, and something else goes away with it. The thing that goes away with it is the low-frequency hum of anxiety and hypervigilance that has been running underneath every moment of your life since you were a child moving from apartment to apartment, never knowing when the floor would give out. Vicodin makes that hum stop. You notice when it stops. You want it to stay stopped. Encore comes out in 2004, and it is brilliant and exhausted at the same time. The reviews notice. The people who know you notice. Your best friend proof, Deshaun Holton, the man who believed in you before anyone else, the man who dragged you to your first ciphers, the man who told you that you were the best rapper alive when you were still washing dishes. Proof is shot and killed on April 11, 2006. He is 32 years old. You do not recover from this in the way that people recover from grief. You absorb it. You fold it into the addiction that is already spreading through your daily life, like water through a foundation. Vicodin becomes Valium, becomes Ambien, becomes whatever is available. You are taking handfuls of pills to sleep, and handfuls to wake up, and handfuls to perform. In December 2007, your heart rate hits 120 beats per minute at rest. You are rushed to the hospital. The doctors tell you that the methadone levels in your system are equivalent to what a heroin addict uses to taper off. You have been taking that amount recreationally. Your body is shutting down. You weigh 230 pounds. You have not written a coherent verse in 18 months. You do not recognize the person in the hospital mirror. You have spent your entire life fighting to exist, and now you are methodically erasing yourself with the same determination you once applied to becoming the greatest rapper alive. You check into Rehab on your own. Nobody forces you. You look at Hailie and you do the math. The same math you've been doing since you were a kid with $11 in your account and a baby who needed formula. You do the math, and the math tells you that you have to choose. Recovery is not dramatic in the way the songs will later describe it. It is tedious and humiliating and incremental. You relearn how to sleep without chemicals. You relearn how to exist in a body that spent years being numbed. You start running. You run obsessively in the way that people who have replaced one compulsion with another run. You run 10 miles a day. You run in the morning before the city wakes up, in the dark, in the Michigan cold, with the kind of focused silence that used to live in your notebook. You lose 80 pounds. Relapse comes out in 2009. You call it relapse because honesty is the only thing you have left. It is not your best album. You know this. It is the album that proves you are still alive and still capable of doing the work. Recovery comes out in 2010, and it is different. It is the first album you have made sober. Every line is unmedicated. Every emotion is real. It debuts at #1 in 17 countries. It is the best-selling album worldwide in 2010. People who had written you off as a casualty of your own excess are listening to Recovery in their cars and feeling something true. You are 37 years old. You have been dead and come back. You have done it not by burning brighter, but by staying in the room when every instinct told you to run. You are standing on a stage in Los Angeles on February 13, 2022, and the Super Bowl halftime show is yours. Dre called it in, and you are here, and 50,000 people are in the stadium, and 112 million people are watching at home. You take a knee at the end of your set. Not because anyone told you to. Because you have spent 30 years watching the city that made you get ignored and exploited and written off, and you are not interested in performing gratitude you don't feel. The NFL doesn't like it. You don't particularly care what the NFL likes. Hailie is 26 years old. She is a normal person living a normal life, and this is the achievement you are most proud of. Not the 15 Grammys. Not the 220 million records sold. Not the films, the label, the artists you've built, the cultural footprint that has altered the entire architecture of popular music for 30 years. The achievement you are most proud of is that your daughter grew up and became a person who is not defined by your chaos. The kid from Warren, Michigan, who failed 9th grade 3 times. The kid who moved 30 times before he was 12. The kid who had $11 in his account, and a daughter to feed, and a second-place finish at a rap battle in Los Angeles that accidentally changed everything. You did not win because the system opened a door for you. You won because you built a battering ram out of every rejection and every eviction and every unopened letter, and every beating and every person who told you that you were in the wrong place. And you kept swinging, not because you were fearless, because you were so familiar with the worst possible outcome that it no longer had any power over you. The fear ran out. The words never did. The notebook was always the one thing that was yours. The one thing nobody could take, nobody could return unopened, nobody could evict. And in the end, the notebook was enough. Whatever comes after this, it was enough. Because you were the greatest of all time,